It's Platt, and today I found this cool little bottle in the beer aisle. That's next to Platt's Drink of the Week. Well, alright, got another fun little video for you today. Walking down the beer aisle, saw this and could not help myself. This is Flensburger Dunkel. I purchased this bottle at $4.99 and it comes in at 4.8% alcohol by volume. Now, if you're a regular viewer of the channel, you know that also I'm a home brewer. And when I first got started home brewing, supplies weren't as prevalent as they were, and I used to love these swing top bottles. Now, I purchased the old school Grolsch bottles, which I still do today, but over the years I've gotten a couple of these Flensburger bottles from people, so I thought today I'd actually give the beer a try. These are just cool little bottles. We have Flensburger Dunkel, dark lager beer, product of Germany, 11.2 ounces, so not quite 12 ounce bottles there. A little background onto Flensburger. The brewery itself was founded in 1888 in Flensburg, Germany. That is far northern Germany near the border of Denmark. Apparently back in 1888, 5 of the citizens got together and decided to pull together, form a company, and open a brewery in Flensburg. Today, the company is still owned by a couple of the original families. So it's been kind of passed down through a couple of families, and it's still privately owned today. It is one of the largest breweries in Germany that have national and international distribution that is not owned by one of the big boys. One of the largest, again, one of the largest independent brewers there. They are probably most known for the swing top, the little flip top bottles. 100 or so years ago, 150 years ago, these were actually popular style beer bottles because we did not quite at the time have the capping machines, or there wasn't consistency with that. We hadn't come up with cans yet. So this was actually one of the earlier beer bottles. After mechanization and advancement of technologies and canning and stuff like that, these have kind of fallen out of favor, and only a couple of people do these type of bottles. And it's actually now kind of a great expense. It takes a lot of effort for them to get these bottles. Only, like I said, not too many companies do that, so sourcing them are kind of tough. They've also come up with their own recycling program because, again, you don't see a lot of these, these gaskets. Not a lot of people make those. These tops are a little different. So they have a recycling program to reutilize those, which is kind of cool. One of the things about these type of bottles, too, is, and you'll hear when we open it, is it makes a unique plop sound. And apparently they utilize that in their marketing. They literally use the term plop, and that it's utilized in their commercials, what have you. So it's not just the bottle, a kind of a traditional bottle, but also kind of is part of their story. Now, another thing that's part of their story that's kind of cool is about the brewery itself. When they built the brewery, they also dug the well for the water for the brewery. And apparently they tapped into a spring or whatever whose source is glacial melt water from Scandinavia, or whatever. Sounds like a great commercial, But apparently they have really good water that's so good that besides beer, they also sell their own line of mineral water. So they got a good source of water, which is always a good start for beer. Speaking of which, time to kind of jump into their beers. They are like a lot of traditional German brewers. They don't do craft beer the way we do here, where they're not doing rhubarb lagers or, peanut butter sours or anything like that. They kind of stick to the classic German styles, and they're pretty straightforward with their brewing, but they're about executing each of those brews. First one we're going to talk about is their Pilsner, 4.8% ABV, 36 IBUs. This is just the classic, crisp, clean German lager that hops is going to add like just a nice crisp bite. These are easy drinking kind of summertime beers. Again, classic German style. Next is their Weizenbier, 5.1% ABV. They claim they brew a northern German style of Weizenbier. First time hearing of this, but in their marketing for this and on the website, they claim that the northern German style of Weizenbier is a little lighter, a little easier drinking. Now, I always thought the style itself was naturally that way, so you just kind of get more of that, I guess. Lastly is their winter box, 7% ABV. This is a strong malty beer. These are one of them kind of, what the term I use is a winter warmer. Higher ABV, you're going to notice it going down. The alcohol kind of provides a warming feeling. These beers tend to be a little bigger bodied, a little more malt to them. However, they claim that their beer, even though it has a higher ABV and more maltiness, stronger, it's still an easy drinker. So kind of best of the both worlds thing. You get a little more oomph, but it goes down easy. Now, this particular beer we're going to try today is a Dunkel. The term Dunkel is dark in German, dark lager, like we read on the label. These beers are kind of a similar beer is a Bock. If you've ever had a Bock, think Bock-ish type beer. SRM were between 15 and 17. These are dark beers compared to your Bud Coors Miller. Compared to, again, a stout, these are light beers, so it's kind of in between color-wise, but more of the darker end. IBU 16 to 25. These beers have a little more malt in them, so we're going to balance it out with a little more hops. ABV 4.8 to 5.3. We're starting to leave the session-style beers, but we're not quite to Bock. Most Bocks kind of start around 6. So these are still beers you can easily consume and not just totally get whacked out, but we're starting to move higher ABV. Color-wise, light brown to dark brown. Again, think Bock-ish a little bit. Not quite the reddish hue or copper hues you get from like a Sam Adams Boston Lager, though. Because this is a lager, you don't get any real phenols or esters, fairly clean fermentation. There's no real hop aroma or flavors. Dunkels are about the malt, and that's what's getting featured. Body-wise, these beers tend to be a little more viscous, a little more mouth coating, but the finish is only a medium. That body doesn't necessarily linger in your mouth. It finishes, around a medium finish. Well, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump in this Dunkel. Plop! I love that. That is great. That right there might have been worth the purchase. All right, give her a pour. Oh, that is looking good. All right. Yeah, nice brown. You can still kind of see through it. It's not too dark. A couple of fingers, a nice khaki head. It's going for the nose. Oh, it's all malt on the nose. You're not really getting hops. Let's go ahead and jump on in. Man, that is just malty goodness. Get that little sweet malt on the punch, or that sweet malty punch up front. It took a minute, but I kind of got hops toward the end. But it took a minute for that, so the hops come a little bit later. Yeah, there's still a hint of some of those bready and toasty notes, but now we're starting to get into some caramel, start getting into some toffee. We're starting to pick up those darker malts that, again, kind of add also a little body and kind of substance to it. Again, we're tasting, we're kind of getting in from light toast. If you ever just toast something for a minute or two and it's real light, and then you start picking up those darker toasted notes, when you leave in the toaster an extra minute or two. It's kind of what we're doing with those malts too here, and that starts to come out in these style of beers. You're like, oh, I get the little extra time toasting, and you really start to taste that in these styles. A beer, you don't get the astringency with the black malts. Once you get into things like stout, you start to pick up coffee and espressos, and those can be astringent a little bit. These, you still kind of get that nice sweetness, the caramelization a little bit of these malts. Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please hit subscribe down below. Also, please like the video because it lets YouTube know we're putting out good content. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or things at the liquor store you'd like me to try, please leave them in the comment section, or you can always contact me on the Twitter page. Till next time, bottoms up.